Hey there, and welcome to another Banter with the Gallivanter. Welcome to Gallivanter Garage, and we're going to be talking briefly today about what it is to winterize a motorcycle. To many of you, it will mean nothing. Large swaths of this country, and indeed around the world, where you can ride all year round, this is a nothing. But here in the Northeast, certainly, there are large tracts of time where you just cannot get out on the motorcycle, and in order to help the motorcycle get through those winter periods, we need to winterize it. So stick around and stay tuned, because there are a couple of things I'll point out that I do that you may want to do if you're in the same predicament, and I'll take you out on a ride a little bit later. Thanks. Right, so when I talk about winterizing a bike, I'm going to talk about three areas. One is fluids, two is the battery, and three are the tires. In terms of fluids, fuel, coolant, and oil. In terms of the battery, getting it on a tender, and obviously the tires, getting them off the concrete. So what we'll be doing is taking the 1290 out on a little ride. I'm going to fill it to the brim as full as I can get it, with 93, which is what I normally put in. I'm also going to put in a fuel stabilizer and then ride it a couple of miles, so that effectively the stabilized fuel is now traveling through the system, and this should help it sit over the course of the winter. What I have already done is change out the oil and oil filter, so that any particulate is being flushed out, and we're going to start the new season with a nice fresh batch of oil. And then when we get back and the bike goes up on its center stand, I'm going to put cardboard under the tires. This is, I think, something that people either do or they don't subscribe to. I do, just because I think a concrete floor at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius can't be that good for a rubber tire. And if it gives me nothing else and a little bit of peace of mind, I pop a few sheets of cardboard underneath it, just so that they're a flat spot. In my mind, I guess I'm doing something. I'm fortunate that I have more than one bike. And in fact, all of my motorbikes have the battery tender lead, and they sit on the battery tender anyway, just because I don't ride them as much as I could or should. But make sure that if you are going to put your battery onto a tender, that it's a tender and it's not just a charger. This will at least cycle the battery a couple of times, and make sure that when springtime comes around, the battery is healthy, fully charged, and it's not going to leave me stranded. You know what, the other thing that I will do is I'll give the bike a wipe down. It's a bit cold, so I won't actually wash it, but I've got some of the waterless soap. I'll wipe it down to make sure that there's no salt residue that gets left behind. Now, we're going to take it out to get it filled up. When we get back, I'll just make sure that there's no grit and no salt laying on the paintwork, on the swing arm, and then she'll be ready. So in terms of winterizing the bikes, what have I done so far? As I mentioned, I did the oil service on this bike last weekend. So new oil, fully synthetic oil, a new oil filter, just a few checks around the bike. What I'm going to be doing now, as I said, we're going to be pumping it full of stabilized fuel, and then when I know I'm going to be storing it, what I'll do is she'll go up on the center stand. I tend to put some cardboard underneath the wheels. I think it's just a good thing to do. Some people don't subscribe to that. And the battery tender goes on, and that's really it. I don't really have to do too much more to this bike. Something like the Bonneville, for instance, the carbs have to be drained, amongst other things, and yeah, bike is filled up. It's got some of the gas stabilizer in it, and so we are good to go. Now, I said I would get a Power Commander 5. That has arrived,
so look out for a video coming soon, the fitment for the Power Commander. There's also a Gallivanter slip-on that is arriving soon. So once we've got the Power Commander in and we've got the Gallivanter slip-on on, we will be taking it down to local dyno shop. So we can get the mapping done, we can get the fueling sorted out, make sure that she's running to her full potential. So there will be a little bit of winter project work on this bike. Looking forward to it, so that when summer comes around, she is ready and raring to go. So what do you guys all do in the off season? Well, for those of you who live in areas where year-round riding is not an option. I know Chopsy says that he tries to get hold of green lane machinery or bikes that aren't his. Just fair enough, Chops. I suppose in the UK, for the most part, you can ride. It's just a little bit discomforting with all the rain, but it's not frozen like it does get here. So what do you guys do? I mean, there's no Formula 1. There's no. I suppose Formula E has just started, which is great. Thanks to Mark Priestley, my interest in Formula E is certainly peaking. So we're watching Formula E, and of course the Supercross season starts in just about 10 days, I think. So we'll certainly be paying close attention to that. I started getting into that last year. I bought the RM in the spring of this year, got into doing some more motocross, which I was out of for probably a better part of 10 or 12 years. So that was great, and that promises to be good in 2020. I'll certainly be taking that up a little more vigorously. I'm a lot fitter now than I was this time last year, probably about 10 pounds lighter, which is all good stuff. Yeah, so we saw Santa last night. See, on our side of the estate, the sign said 4:30, so we all trooped out at sort of 4:20, and we were standing around waiting for Santa, and we could hear the fire engines, and we could hear them, but it was 5:45 before they arrived, so we were all frozen solid. I am just recovering from not a flu, but certainly a cold that knocked me. If I were to say, knocked me for 6. Maybe some of you guys who would understand that, but yeah, like 2 or 3 mornings in a row, woke up with a fever, like 103, 104. Goodness gracious. Went to see the doctor, took a swab, and then came back and said, no, don't worry, you haven't got the flu. I still feel like I got driven over by a train. But at least I'm on the mend now. Goodness me. I probably sound like I've been smoking 40 a day for the last 40 years, so I do apologize.
Alright, what I've got here is just a couple of sheets of cardboard, just your regular OCC corrugated stuff. This bike up on the center stand means that the back wheel is off the ground, so I only have to worry about the front wheel. And it's just a case of getting it up slightly, putting that underneath there. It may do nothing, but it gives me some peace of mind. And as far as I'm concerned, she is now ready for winter. Well, okay folks, that's it for now. You've seen what I do in terms of winterizing. To recap, full tank of fuel with fuel stabilizer in it, and run it for a couple of miles just so that stabilized fuel is flowing through the injectors. Changed out the oil and the oil filter, so I know that there's no gumpy goopiness that will be there in springtime. The battery is on its battery tender. The tires are off the concrete. The back is up anyway because the bike's on its center stand. The front is supported by some OCC cardboard. And then I've given it a little wipe down to make sure that there's no salt and no grit on the bike. And as far as I'm concerned, it's time to put it to bed. So from me and the Gallivanter family, wishing you and yours all the very best for the festive season. We're seeing you in the new year.